Who bit the apple first? Was it red or was it green? Was it even an apple?
This podcast redefines your perspective and all you've been taught about life.
How, you may ask?
About delving into reality, the culprit that has been shaping your thinking.
You're listening to Eve and Eve with Ashika Sachet.
And your girl, Cristale.
Thank you for tuning in to Eve and Eve podcast today. We are your hosts, Ashika Sachet and Cristale. We definitely appreciate you for tuning in today.
Definitely.
So, on this dope episode 1 of Eve and Eve podcast, today's question is, and listen carefully, when should you introduce your kids to your partner? That's the question. So, what do you think?
That is a very good question, but before I begin to talk about that question, I just want to warn our fellow virtual homies, VH, that Eve and Eve is going to redefine your perspective and all you've been taught about life. And I'm Eve, or Cristale, the voice of optimism. I can warn you, my perspective is pure. It can be a bit free thinking, more freer thinking than others. Let's just say that. It works being a free spirit, you know. It does. It works for me.
It's pretty dope.
I mean, it allows me to see the world in multiple colors. It's kind of like coloring outside the lines, but still seeing the beauty in it. See? You see, that's dope. So you're going to be hearing from me, my perspective as well as Ashika's. What about you? Tell me more about you before we get in this episode.
Hey all virtual homies, this is Ashika Sachet here. I am from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I'm a survivor. I'm a forgiver, and I'm a sinner. So, as you listen to these episodes and you get in the nitty gritty with us, you'll learn more about me. So,
me too.
I'll keep it short. But so back to the question. When should you introduce your kids to your partner?
So let's lay out the time frame. Are we talking about someone who we're just dating, or are we talking about like this bae and this is who I'm just sleeping with, and like what's going on? Tell me more about.
So the parameter is, this is somebody that you consider your partner. This is somebody that when you are out and people are like, hey, can I talk to you? And you're like, oh, no, sorry, I'm taken. Okay. When should you introduce that person to your kids?
But what if I don't have kids, though?
Oh, well, if you don't have kids, I would say, well, this is it for you then.
No, here it is.
This episode
Cristale, Eve, the voice of reason, because think about this. So those people who saying I don't have kids, I don't date people with kids.
Oh, okay. That's different.
See, boundaries. Yes, please have them. But what if your potential soulmate, your bae, your boo thing, I'm taken. Whenever you walk in, they behind you or the side of you, and that person has a child. Then what?
That's tricky. That's tricky.
That's why I say, yes, have boundaries.
But then at the same time, then doesn't that mean that person isn't for me then? So if I have all of these things cut out for me and I already know, look, I don't want to be anyone's step parent. I don't want to even be a parent. And then you meet somebody that you're jiving with, they got kids. You know that, and then you're still pushing forward, but now they're ready for you to meet the kid. Like, don't you kind of think you went too far anyway?
Well, yes, I do. Because right when that person says, hey, I'm Jane, and I have 3 kids, 4 kids, 1 kid, boom, sorry, walk away. But you entertained, and now you're here.
That's fair. But back to the topic. If you are with this person, you know you're with this person. There's none of those questions that we kind of just brought up. When should this person be introduced to your kids?
I have my thoughts.
And what are they?
Right. So I think it should be a turning point in your relationship, right? It should be well after you have considered the first date, second date, third date is more like this is who I see I'm grooving with. I'm trusting this person. I am loving on this person. I'm with this person all the time. And goddamn it, I'm waiting until my kids are asleep. I don't want to wait till 8 o'clock. I want to see.
But you're still not answering the question. When does that
Okay, so like I said, it has to be a turning point in your relationship.
When is that turning point?
The turning point is actually up to the people who are in that relationship. It has to be definitely after a conversation. So within this conversation.
So when does that conversation need to be had?
When you feel it.
All right, look. I personally, I don't have any biological children, right? So the thing is, I really think it just depends on the kid's age. Because if your kid is like 6 months or whatever, and they're like, in a person's lap when they come over, and then the person just shits on you within like, maybe 6 months or something, the kid is not going to be affected by that person leaving. Like, it doesn't even matter. They're not even going to remember that, the person was holding them one day when they were like 5 months. So I definitely think that. But if you are with this person, I think it needs to be if they're going to be consistent. But
see, you're not answering the question either.
Okay, so bottom line is I don't believe there's a right or wrong answer.
There you go.
I don't
think so either, because there's different levels to this thing, right?
Yeah, but yes,
it's levels to relationships, and it's levels to that degree of your relationship when you feel like, all right, so I trust the point where we are. But there are some parents out here that are like serial introducers. I met this person. They meeting the kids tomorrow. Like, they all eating at dinner. Like, wait, what?
Okay.
Like, Mom, who's your new friend?
And that's fair. That's fair.
So, really, are you the serial introducer, or are you the type of person who you wait for so many months and so many days? Like, this person has to complete your checklist. Like, steps 1 through 4. Have they completed the trustworthy phase, the dependable stage, the I can rely on you if I'm stuck at work and I know that you are free? Can you go pick up little Timmy from school for me?
So, final thoughts. I definitely think that you first need to have a conversation with your partner, because you could go to them and be like, hey, I think we should meet each other kids. And they like, no, like, my bad that you even thought that, like, that was even on my brain kind of thing. So I think it's important to even know that the person wants to meet your kids. And then 2...
Wait, so let's tag team. So you did 1, right? And because I agree with what you just said. And so since we agree with this, let me sprinkle something in there. So after that conversation, I really think that it should be a really deep intellectual conversation where you may discuss some of your kids' traumas, the divorce. No.
See, there's a step before that, because if you are coming to me and you're saying, hey, Ashika, I'm ready for you to meet my kids, I need to know what the fuck that come with. Like, so do I gotta speak to the little motherfuckers every time I see them now?
Yes,
do I gotta take them to the park?
Absolutely.
Like, what comes with meeting your children?
So like, it has to be boundaries in that conversation.
And then we just might break up right then and there. You know what I mean? Like, it's over.
Some people don't talk about the boundaries because they are afraid that they're going to get broken up right then and there. Because now this person is expecting you to go half on school supplies, school clothes,
pick up some juice. Like, you know, like.
Pick up some juice. Like, for real. Picking them up from school, daycare, giving a couple of dollars on fundraisers. Taking the children to extracurricular activities, paying for different hairstyles.
Right. Right. So the answer to today's question, when should you introduce your kids to your partner? There is no answer. That is what we have established. There is no right or wrong time to introduce your kids to your partner.
Right, because there's levels to relationships, and no two relationships are going to look the same. So I can definitely take some tips or some suggestions, but I'm not going to run my relationship like someone else, because no two people are the same. So there you go. How about that?
How about it? So a few tips that I think we can all, utilize in our own lives is, one, we all need to be clear about what it looks like for us to introduce someone to our children. Like, what are our expectations?
Crystal clear on those.
And then we have to be able to articulate those expectations to our partner. And we have to give them the opportunity to decide as to whether or not they can handle that. So, earlier when Crystal said, people just kind of keep going because they don't want to get broken up with. She's right, but you can't rely on that. You have to give that person a chance. And then the last thing I think everyone should do is just be great. Be great in all that you do.
Stay tuned for Eve's struggle. Eve and Eve podcast would like to take this moment to thank our sponsor, Just Smile Photos. You can find Just Smile Photos on Instagram and Facebook at just_smile_photos. Welcome back to Eve and Eve podcast. During Eve's struggle, we will read a letter from one of you, a virtual homie, needing our advice. If you ever find yourself needing advice, why don't you write us a letter or join the conversation on IG, Twitter, or even Facebook?
Yes, make sure you guys join the conversation. So here I am. I'm going to read a letter from one of our virtual homies needing our advice. Here it is. I need some advice. 8 months ago, I fell in love with a childhood friend. It has been the healthiest relationship I've ever had. So about 3 weeks ago, she introduced me to her son. Since then, the vibe has changed. Lately, I've been spending more than usual. Now, before I met her son, she never asked me for money. She works just like I do, and his daddy is around. So I took her to dinner and told her I didn't want to financially help with their kid. Now she won't return any of my phone calls, and she blocked me on all social media. Man, should I just fall back or fight for her? Sign, no PayPal. So there you have it. A virtual homie needs advice on what to do about his situation. And keep in mind, his main thing at this point is he wants to be with his lady, it appears as such, but he doesn't want to financially help. So head over to Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook and give your advice.
We want to hear from you. Don't be shy in your comments. We want to have this open dialogue so that we can really give this virtual homie some good and honest feedback.
This concludes this episode of Eve and Eve.
We hope you enjoyed it.
We would like to hear from you. Email us at evestru @gmail.com.
That's Eve Struggle.
Check us out on Instagram and Twitter at EVE Podcast.
That's Eve Podcast.
Join us next week for another dope episode.
You heard it, dope episode. And until next time, walk in your truth and please trust yourself.